Buddy of mine has a big old truck like I do, and we were up at Deals Gap a couple months back, and he had taken my idea of installing air horns one step further. And so when he blew his air horns, it scared the crap out of everybody. It was a really cool upgrade. The air horns that I have on my truck have always been problematic. Either the air hose blows off, or the compressor doesn't seem to get energized just in time. So I mean, it's worked. It just hasn't been fantabulous. So stole my buddy's idea, went out and bought his kit that he showed me from Amazon.com, and I'll put a link to the description below. But it came in the other day, and starting today, I'm going to see what we can do about doing some custom fabrication and get it all hooked up and have a train horn. So, no further ado, let's open. And what you'll see here, I doubt if it'll focus properly, but it's a Vixen horn. It's a 3-train, I guess 3 trumpet train horn. Comes with the compressor, almost everything you'll need. I'm going to take it one step further and actually have a extra air nozzle attachment put onto the tank so that I can fill up tires on the truck should it have a flat tire, ATVs, UTVs. Let's say I'm hauling a trailer and the tire blows out, so put a spare on it and all of a sudden find out the spare doesn't have any air. I'll be able to air things on the fly. So pretty cool. But Vixen horn, and it comes with all the goodies. What else we got here in the box? So shipped to, looks like we got a return label if there's any problems. That's cool. Universal horn button switch, triple trumpet train air horn, and a 1-gallon air tank and compressor. Nice. Hey YouTubies, got started yesterday on installing the new air horns for my big red truck. Just as I started to take things apart and start fabricating a mountain bracket, whatnot, the bottom of the sky fell out. So I had just barely enough time to get the spare tire out from where it's stored. Didn't have time or a chance to do anything else, so I ended up using last night's thunderstorm rain scenario. Time well spent. Used it to fabricate a mount, and then today went and checked all my existing hardware that I had in my house in stock. Didn't have a whole lot, so I ran down to the hardware store real quick, picked up some extra bolts, and lo and behold, all of the hard wiring is done. I have ran a temporary power wire from the compressor all the way to the front of the truck, and I do mean temporary. It's Mickey rigged, but it was enough to get air into the compressor, make sure that it was going to hold, and we weren't going to blow any fuses, whatnot. Took the truck for a drive to make sure that everything was safe and secure. Everything's bolted up pretty as you please. So now the only thing I need to do now is to finish running the electrical and plumb myself a switch. So with no further ado, here's what it looks like. Again, you'll see that I took out the spare tire. Didn't need it. It was a 17-inch tire. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. It's a 20-inch spare tire, and I can't use it because the truck's been raised up, lifted up. Got 37s on it now. 20-inch wouldn't do jack for me. And so instead of hauling around 150 pounds of spare useless crap, went ahead and took it off. Left the mounting hardware in place. Because of that mounting hardware and a plate that I fabricated, I'm able to get the air compressor in place. I've got the hose plumbed. You can see the horns way up front. Got those plumbed. I did add an extra nipple
on the end, and that's so that I could do a quick disconnect air hose for tractors, tires, and etc. Example would be not long ago I ran over a nail with that tire, pulled the nail out, I plugged it, everything was cool, but I couldn't get air back into the tire. Had to go about 10 miles on a semi-flat tire to the gas station, fill it up, boom, boom. Now I'll have the ability to fill on the fly. So red wire is power wire, and as you can see way down yonder, it's kind of just hanging there, hanging out. But got my ground, got everything good. All I got to do now is run some power to it, permanent power, and then I got to climb back up underneath the horns there and run myself some power there for a switch. I'm not going to bore you with all the details of the fabricating and whatnot. Didn't film it. Frankly, nobody's got time to watch that kind of crap. But if you got any questions on how I did it, why I did it, by all means, shoot me a comment, and I'll break it down to you privately as to how I did it. All right. Maybe the next video will me be actually testing it. See you guys.
Well, hey, YouTubies. Happy to say that it is a beautiful Thursday afternoon. And for those who've been following my other videos and my channel, you'll know that I've been working on a train horn system for my Dodge pickup truck. The stock horn was fine, worked fine, but just, you know what, it wasn't a truck horn, if you ask me. So we'll go back about 2 years. 2 years ago, I bought a Wolo Bad Boy horn, and it was an air horn. Came with a small little compressor, came with air tubes, and you could run it to your battery, or in my case, I took the stock horns off the truck, put them in a box, put them in the attic, just forgot about them, and used the Wolo, and it wasn't bad. It came with 3 horns. I think it was $50, and I think I bought it at O'Reilly's or something like that. But put it on the truck, and it worked great. The only problem was, every once in a while, the air hose would literally blow off. So you'd wail on the horn, and one of your horns wouldn't go off. And if it did go off, it sounded like a wounded goose. So then I fixed that, and I used contact cement, and I did all that stuff, and it's still, you hit a bump or something and they'd fall off. So I went up to West Virginia a couple weeks ago to mow our ancestral graveyard, and I must have hit a bump or a railroad track or something, but for somehow reason or another, 2 of the horns fell off from the front of the truck. Don't know what happened to them, never heard it happen, never saw them, just 1 horn was left. And the guy pulled out in front of me, and I hit the horn, and I'm telling you, it sounded like geese in heat. It didn't sound right. So I came home and kind of fiddle-farted around and did some online searches and whatnot. And a buddy of mine named Mike Jennings told me to get a set of Vixen air horns, and it comes with a compressor and everything. So I bought them on Amazon, and you guys have to excuse me, I'm moving around a lot because the flies bugging me to death. But Vixen air horn, it's like $129 on Amazon. If you remind me, I'll put a link at the bottom. Shipped to the door, $129. Came with a compressor, came with a switch, came with the horns. You just got to have a little bit of mechanical knowledge and knowing what you're doing. And even if you don't, the instructions are pretty stupid proof. I mean, you got to be a pretty special case of dumb not to be able to figure these out. But so I started on it about 2 or 3 days ago, and every time I went to go to work on the truck, bomb, the sky would just fall out. And of
course, I could back it up into the garage, but I've got some other projects going on in there, so you just never got around to finishing it until today. Today, I'll back up. While it was raining, I went ahead and fabricated a custom mount that I liked. That's the one thing the Vixen air horn doesn't come with. It doesn't come with really a whole lot of mounting platforms. They leave it for you to design where you pretty as you please. Nice. Mounted the horns pretty much underneath the cab, facing forward. Ran my tubing, ran my wiring, got it all done today, and I'm in love with this thing. So before I show you all that, I'll show you what was on here. This is a Wolo 12-volt compressor. Wonder if the camera will pick it up. You know, it's got a positive and negative, pretty simple, even labeled positive and negative. And it's got a single air nozzle. In my case, I came out of that air nozzle, I went into a Y, a three splitter Y, and then I had 3 of these guys. And I had these mounted up inside the front grill. And then of course when you blow on it, obviously you hear. So that's just one horn. So you imagine what 3 horns sounded like. And it was all good, like I said, but you hit a bump and the hose would fall off. So instead of throwing this away, I'm going to actually put this on my motorcycle. I'm going to see if I can get this to mount properly on my motorcycle, somewhere hidden. Because if you have a motorcycle and you hear and nobody gets out of your way. So I'm going to try putting these on the bike. That'll be a different video and a different project. Maybe they'll be surprised when they hear. So kind of cool, huh? The truck, but you'd be hard pressed to find the wiring. And I'll tell you the reason why. We'll come back over here. These are my LED backup lights. They did not come with the truck. I installed them, drilled them out, mounted them, and so I've got conduit running all the way inside the truck with a manual switch. So I reused that flexible conduit to run my wiring for the air horn. So everything is all nice, flush, professional. You know, black zip ties where I think it needed it, but you'll see I've got those LEDs. You'll see I got all that all nice and neat, pretty like. And then, oh yeah, and after work special, Cayman Jack Margarita. Good stuff, man, good stuff. So, but I ran it all the way down the side of the truck, up inside the bed, all on the rails, to where the factory wiring harnesses were and whatnot. Kind of matched it, and the factory wiring harnesses go along the bed rail, through the fender, you know, along the fender well, and they literally run, you know, kind of like through here. And so then, how do you get it into the cab? Well, the battery to the wire for the compressor goes directly to the battery, so it runs all the way along the length of the truck. You guys have to excuse the truck; it's filthy because it's a farm truck and I haven't washed it in forever. So, you know, the battery runs all along the frame rail and whatnot, comes up through, and then kind of comes up through here, and you'll see it runs up through here, and then got the 30 amp fuse that comes with it, and hardwired to the battery. And all this stuff is for my LED light bar in the front, which really helps with deer. But anyway, so you see I used the flexible conduit, made it look all nice and pretty, like all nice and neat. And then the switch. Well, now the switch has to go to positive, so I went ahead and I ran it off the compressor positive, and then all you need is a ground. So then I ran a separate ground all by itself, all through the cab. Came in, there's a knockout right about here, but on the base. And I had knocked it out earlier where I ran my CB cable. Got a big old CB cable here, and I'm probably one of the old school folks that still use one. But then I pulled the carpet up, ran it along underneath the carpet, put the carpet back down, made it all look nice and nifty, and then wired it up through underneath the seat, and then up through took the center console apart, brought it up through the center console, and brought it to right here. So I have a manual switch for the horn. Now I was going to tie it into the factory horn, which is what I did with the Wolos, but I figure, I don't know the law. I haven't gotten off my butt and figured out whether or not it's against the law to use air horns as a factory horn. Figured just play it safe. I'll have it on manual switch, and then the factory horn will remain as it sits. The only thing I don't particularly care for, and this is just a temporary mount at the moment, is the ground. And I tied it into my chair, into the mounting bolt of my chair. And I'm not really fond of that setup. It is just temporary at the moment until I figure out a better way to make it look more pretty. You know, my wife's getting ready to use the truck tomorrow for a trip, and I wanted her to be able to hit the road and whatnot. So that gives you an idea. Here's what the stock horns sound like. Not really all that strong. Here, I'll hit the button. So that's your stock horns. And then here is the air horn. And you can tell compressor kicked in. Gonna pump itself back up to 120. And we get inside the truck and we close the door. And it's not really all that loud. And it turns itself off. And like I said, not only is it going to power the air horns, but it'll also power you know, flat tires and whatnot. And I go off-roading a lot with my friends, so should somebody blow a bead or have a puncture, we can patch it, fill them back up, and get their butts on the road. So boys and girls, that's the end of the Wolo air horn upgrade to the Vixen air horns and the portable air compressor. See ya. Bye. For those that didn't catch it, my wife dropped the F-bomb.
Oh, he flew out and flew back in.
Damn flies are horrendous this year. So YouTubies, we're gonna run over here to my neighbor's house and deliver some dog food for his little munchkins. And then we're gonna go out to eat, because Daddy's a fat boy.